Newsfirst, Newsline.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to another edition of Newsline. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Today was a very important day as far as the elections, the local government elections go. The Supreme Court today said that the Elections Commission can go ahead with the election as planned and that there is no need for the fundamental rights applications requesting the Supreme Court to order the Elections Commission to hold the election to proceed any further because the Elections Commission is already proceeding. But what will happen next? Will this election really take place? And in the run-up to the election, where do the results go? To discuss these matters and more, we've got with us today a very old politician, but however was missing in the picture for a while, now back in the spotlight. Sujeewa Senasinghe, Senior Vice Chairman of the SJB and also the campaign spokesperson. Very good evening, Mr. Senasinghe, and welcome to the show.
Very good evening, Sharon. That sounds as if I'm very old.
Old politician. When I said old politician, I meant, you know, you've been at the top brass, at the top brass, but young at heart, anyways.
Always.
So, well, first things first, before we get into the real serious stuff, we've made a decision to ask one question on Newsline, and that is because people in Sri Lanka are up in arms against the new taxes that have been imposed. And one of their main concerns is that politicians in this country are favoring themselves. They are the ones making the rules, they are the ones making the rules on taxes, but they're favoring themselves and not paying taxes. Mr. Senasinghe, do you have a tax file?
No, I don't have a tax file.
You do not have a tax file?
Yeah.
Would you be falling in the category of taxable income?
I would now, but
Right.
not before, because I've given all my details to the tax department.
Right.
So actually, since I was involved in politics for about 15 years and there was no income which was taxable at the moment.
Right.
So those were, like, my salary was not taxable, so stuff like that. And so, but I've given, this time we may fall into that with the interest that we get, or because it was not taxable earlier, certain brass. So we might now fall into this new one.
So you will be obligated to, of course, open a tax file?
Definitely.
You will follow up on those obligations?
Definitely, because I have given all my details to the Parliament of my incomes and the rest of it.
Your asset declaration?
Asset declaration, I have all this, and I can even publish it. And most of it, I used to buy land when I was actually a lawyer. And that time I had a lot of foreign clients, so that was not taxable. So it repeated, and the lands were not generating any money, so it's not taxable again.
Right.
So, but like the little money I have, when I get interest, now it will be taxable because I'll fall into that bracket.
Right. All right. Now getting into the serious stuff, Mr. Sujeewa Senasinghe, you were missing from the picture for the longest time. A lot of people are wondering why now, and what happened to you, and why are you back all of a sudden at the cusp of an election? Did you forget the people for the past 2.5 years? Did you just not care?
No. It's not whether I care or not. People are asking me to, they asked me in one of your programs, I've said that if I lose, I'll get out of politics.
Right.
And they asked me, so I think Saturn or some program, if you watch it again, you see.
So you were one of the politicians who stayed true to your word, because we see a lot of politicians making statements saying, if I lose this election, I'm going to retire. But very few people say that even, but I said it and I kept the promise. Right.
And that I was out of politics like a jiffy, and I was out of it. I was very happy to be out of it also. And then this situation arose in the country that I couldn't survive, and I was struggling, and I was wondering whether to go abroad or stay in this country.
Right.
And then I realized, if I am struggling, and what about the general public? And I know it's a dire strait. It's a very difficult life for them, and because of very few greedy few people, and we face this. It's not everybody. This is what I'm trying to say. It's not everybody from 48. And people have mistaken, and people take it for granted also, the good things that our leaders have done. Sometimes we tend to forget. Just because one crowd has totally ruined the country, it doesn't mean that the rest of the country and the people who govern the country is also bad. So, but here is a danger. We are almost at the brink of destruction. And we are just holding on to a thin line. And if we make another mistake, if we take another risk as what we took in 2019, and we will be doomed. The country, there won't be a country for us to live. because the economy is in dire straits. We have not paid the renewable energy sector 40 billion. We have not paid the construction sector some 100 billion. And we have 13 months they have not been paid, so they can't continue to supply electricity. So where are we going to go from here? So if it falls onto the wrong hand, there's no turning back for the country.
But the president in his throne speech says that we've come to a certain stage, we just need to get through a few more hard months and then things will be better. We will be able to give more concessions to the people. That's the kind of tone that was struck in the throne speech.
Can he say anything else? He's saying it's very difficult. Then he has the Independence Day spending 500 million. And
200, I believe.
500, 200, official 200, but if you take all the expenses, it's about 500.
Okay.
So it's just the crucial official amount is that.
But of course, I believe there was a statement in all respect to the president's media division. There was a statement claiming that there are false numbers propagating.
Yeah, but we were just calculating the other things which were not calculated. If you take everything around the people who wouldn't work, who can't work, and
let's just not specify a number. Let's say a huge amount.
A lot of money, which is not needed at this moment. And what did he gain from that? And he's saying the foreign countries will realize that we have some money. And are they going to ask for loans from us, or what is the purpose of that? We don't have money, and everybody knows that we are begging from everybody. So we might as well say that we don't have money and move forward from there. And I don't see the optimism that the president, and what else can he say? He's saying it's going to be really difficult. Obviously, when you spend so much money on a very poor budget, it's going to be difficult for sure. It's not magic. It's not rocket science, just basic. And why would you want to? Other countries have foregone and they have not had their Independence Day. He would have easily said, deliver a speech and said, countries in hunger, people are starving, and we would not have this. And are we in a better position or a worse position if we had done that? Then people would have thought he has the little bit of feeling towards the people, general public and the poor. But they doesn't seem to have that, and we have it.
Mr. Senasinghe, did you hold this kind of an opinion even when he was Prime Minister back during the Yahapalne government?
I'm sure if you know my background and my past, and that's exactly what I was doing. I was like the most vociferous, most vocal person against him for the past, from 2010.
But there are those who say that, with the central bank bond scam and, you being part of the group that had footnotes in it.
Yeah, so footnotes were proven, you're a lawyer. It came to the commission, and the commission took it to Supreme Court, and they said that it is accurate, 100% accurate. So what more than that? So just because Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, we don't like him, are we supposed to go against the laws, against the norms, everything, and just to forget? And that's what everybody wanted us to just put a blank check on him and say he's a rogue. So we will say he did certain things wrong, but as a lawyer, if you are given a brief, what would you do? You would do justice by the courts and the client and the law. And there's no client here. And everything myself, Harsha De Silva, Ajit Perra and the rest of the crowd did, every footnote was found to be accurate. So what more than that? So why can't people accept this? Why do you are so stubborn just to say you're wrong? If it has been accepted by courts, and you see all the cases without even hearing, they have dismissed the cases. And we have given a proper picture. I gave analysis on, because I'm not holding a candle for anybody. I said, catch the rogues, punish them. But they wanted us to give a blank check on this, which I couldn't do as a lawyer, as educated lawyer, a person who knows the law. So because of that, this mudslinging started, and everybody's out. He's the president, and I'm out of parliament, which I'm happy, at least.
But Mr. Senasinghe, the situation is quite ironic because the people who shouted in parliament and said, in exact words, I'm quoting, saying Ranil Hurrah, are now part of his cabinet. They are members of his committees. They are his prime minister. And they are the ones who voted him into the presidency that he contested so many times and couldn't really come in through a public mandate. What do you feel about this situation? Is it like an out-of-body experience?
It's ugly. It's horrendous. Actually, it gives me like goosebumps, like watching this, and him shouting "Kauda Hora" to the other side, and they are all together, and I find it appalling as a young politician. I've never done that. I can always stand up for what I have said in my past history. You find something out of where, and that is the same reason even the bonds, I stood by what I said. And I'm not going to shy away or get pressured by some people who's going to put slander on me. And I stand by everything I say. And from the beginning, from our leaders, from DS, Dudley, John, JR, everything, most of the things they have done, I've stood by. If something wrong they have done, I would say that's wrong.
But Mr. Senasinghe, now let's get into alternatives. An election is coming, of course. The SJB is campaigning. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna is campaigning. The UNP is campaigning with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. But there seems to be a renewed barrage of criticisms and allegations against the National People's Power Movement. Now, this was seen to a slight extent at the previous elections, but now many factions are slandering the JVP, making various accusations. What's your stance on this?
I will never slander them. I have forgotten the past. I'm not at least talking about the past. And if you remember 13th Amendment, they were totally against it. And the killings and the burning of buildings and all that, I'm not going to even talk about it. But can you be against something at one point and say this is good for us? And is it justifiable? We would have asked the same question, Mr. Senasinghe, you said this that day and now you're saying this. Can you trust people who have a sort of a double, put the signal to the right and then you turn to the left?
But then that's almost every politician in Sri Lanka.
Not me. You just quote me from anywhere. You quote me, I'll give you even time.
Okay, let's just say a vast majority
then you
of
should not trust them. Then if I have double standards, you should not trust me. Because if I have double standards today, I'll have double standards tomorrow. So that is what we say.
But you're leveling the accusations based on the party policies. Tell me one party that has been steadfast on their policies.
Us. You ask any question from...
So you're saying since the formation of the Samagi Jana Bala
UNP, from the UNP, from the beginning, yeah.
Okay.
The open economy, the privatization, liberal economies and all nationalized to be together, all this, like we have stood by our every conviction from a grand old party. And we have never changed, and that's the beauty of us. So we have actually directed our direction a little bit away from the UMP because we could not get rid of Mr. Anil Wickramasinghe. For 35 years, DS, Dudley, John, JR, Premadasa, Gamini, Lalit, all these people have developed the country at a very difficult era. When the north and the south was burning, they did that. But only 35 years they have taken. So Mr. Wickramasinghe has taken control of our party for 30 years and not becoming the president by a genuine vote. And so what can we do? What we did was not that we wanted to do it, but there's no other choice. We just actually moved him away from, and we formed this SJB just to get rid of him. And then we showed it, and he came with 0 seats in parliament. So everybody accepted what we did, and I have been fighting for this for a long time. And so we have been very steadfast and accurate on our policies. And the JVP has not. You ask them, how are you going to develop? Are you going to privatize the Lanka? Are you going to privatize the petroleum? Are you going to privatize CEB? How are you going to get the funds? And what does he say? And are you all agreeing with it? And as a lawyer, an educated person, he says the same Samadang mentality they are coming. We'll put the kate, we'll sell some tickets. What is he saying? He'll ask people to send money from abroad. And can you develop a country like that? That must be just another part of your strategy. But can you say we are going to collect money and then develop this country? You can't. You have to have a strategy. You must talk to the Chinese. You must talk to the BOT, Built Operation Transfer programs. Are they going to do that? How are they going to progress? It's easy for you to talk. When we watch cricket, we tell them, Arjuna Rantham wouldn't have played this shot.
He should have played a straight drive.
Straight drive. It's very easy, and all of us go through that, And then Asana Jayasura, why the idiot, why did he play this shot? But you go and stand there, and then the ball comes 99 miles per hour. You don't even say I played for law college, actually. The first match as a youngster, when I came in, I scored 70. And then after I came to the finals, they invited me again thinking that I'm a good batsman. And I went and I didn't practice, no experience, haven't played. The ball came, I only saw the hand and the wickets were flying. So it's easy for us to, from outside, to govern, to tell us how to run a country. But in practice, have you done it? In practice, I have done it. Sajith Premadasa has done it. He has been a deputy minister, not proper ministers like Gamisanayaka. We have never been given by Ranil Wickramasinghe. He was always given a very, very small role in a government.
Very mediocre minister.
Mediocre, and a very short governments also, 1 year, 2 years maximum. So during that also, I brought 200 factories to Millania, Kalutara. And then Mr. Malik Samaravikrama stopped it actually. He said, don't report to Sujeewa Senasinghe, report to me. And which takes 6 years, I did it in 8 months. The water, the electricity, the divesting the land is very difficult. Divesting is not easy.
Right.
So 450, I did all that in 3 months. And then I got it done. And then he said, he sent a message to the Shenuka, the ambassador in Thailand, and said, write to the company and say, don't report to Senasinghe, report to me. And they said, we don't like ambiguity. And our shareholders are Nippon from Japan. Sony, Honda, all those vehicles and electric equipments would have been manufactured in Sri Lanka. 200 factories, mind you. And they said, we are withdrawing from your country. I went and told Mr. Wickremesinghe 3 times. And he didn't give me an answer. I said, I don't want any credit. You and Mr. Malik Samaravikrama will take the credit. But he didn't answer, and they wrote a letter saying that we are withdrawing from your country, and that was it. So we have the ability. Then I was given the Science and Technology Ministry. I spent only 20 million, and I spoke to you all helped me with that. I brought 500,000 children to BMICH. And that Akirula just planning, they spent 100 million. And we did this, and we took it to Polonnaruwa, and I was going to take it to other places, and the government actually felt that 56 days something had happened, I believe.
Yes.
So we have the ability because we have done it. We have shown it. We have the capacity. And Lalita Mudali, Gamini Dissanayake, they got the opportunity. We never got the opportunity. So we have Eran Wickramaratne. You can talk of his record, being an NDB chairman, gone in the bank system. Then Harsha De Silva, he has his own company, economics. Then Buddhika Patirana, then Marika. All these people have come from nowhere, and they have done their. So our party, we always have to excel in whatever we have done, and then we have come to politics. It's not just like talking or criticism. That is not what we are based on our political career. We have proven in whatever, as a lawyer, it's not just being a lawyer. I have to do well as a lawyer. I have to earn money. I have to run my electorate. I have to do politics. I have to find money.
Mr. Senasinghe, so the argument that you're trying to make, of course, is that since you all have been in power and you all have done something...
Slightly, not in power properly. But we have had a taste of it, just a slight taste of it, not like Gamini Dissanayake, not like their era.
Mr. Senasinghe, we'll need to cross over to a short commercial break, but on the other side, we'll speak more about the upcoming local government elections, the preparations of the Samaga Jana Balawegya, and of course, the possible futures that Sri Lanka might have after the election. Stay tuned. You're watching Newsline Live.
Newsfirst, Newsline.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Tremors experienced in Vellavaya and Buttala. President goes to Jaffna. Petition against election postponed to the 23rd, and court says petitions calling for polls not necessary as Election Commission had already given an undertaking. If polls are delayed, the masses will take to streets, warns opposition leader. Anura questions the attempt to appoint select committee to investigate the National Election Commission.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you. Experience the best in healthcare at Durden's Hospital's new Alfred Place wing. We continue to evolve into a purpose-built hospital of the future, with an ambience built to deliver world-class care. Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Newsfirst, Newsline.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. We're in discussion with former parliamentarian Sujeewa Senasinghe, also former minister. Mr. Senasinghe, now we were discussing about the situation in the country and why the SJB is the correct option. Let's be more specific. The upcoming local government elections. Now we know that there were efforts from the president himself, who claimed that 8,000 members of local government bodies are just too much. We are struggling as a nation to survive. We can't pay 8,000 local government members. But however, the process to amend all of this will push the election back indefinitely. And as a result, following the Supreme Court determination today, of course, the elections are going ahead. there is no deterrent to it. So on the local government election front, now there are people who say that this is not just a local government election, this is almost the size of a national election. But what is the stance of the SJP on that matter?
I would agree with the 8,000. It's true. They could have amended that and they would have bought the proper system much earlier. But the local government election is a platform for the future because there are two elections just on our doorstep, the parliament and the presidential, just 8 months or 1 year, just very short time.
Right.
So this is kind of a dress rehearsal for the rest to come. So it's very important, it's crucial. That's why actually I got involved, not that I wanted to get involved. Mr. Premadas and a couple of other top brass came and actually met me and made that plea. And at least not for the party, at least do it for the country. So I did this early also, if you remember, with Aragale also, when most of my clips, I predicted the future about 5 years, 6 years before. And that all came true. And I see the future and I would kind of smell it. So, and that's the danger. And if it goes to the wrong people, and we won't have a country to again try. You can try in another 10, 15 years, but this is not the time to experiment at the moment actually.
But people are saying that everybody who governed during the past 75 years are to be held accountable to this.
But that is wrong, no? How can you make that connection? Because from 48 to 94, the Mahaveli, Gamudava, the Angalum Karmante, apparel industry. And then Janasavi, everything, the ports were developed during that time. Within about 35 years, the development that we took, actually, we were the model of the rest of the world, Asia. And they were copying us for industrial zones, and the rest of it, China came and looked at us, and then they went and started industrial zones in China and Singapore. They took Sri Lanka as a model. From 94, 7 of our leaders were gunned down and killed. Mr. Premadas, Gamini Disanayake, Lalita Thormudi, Ranjan Wijeratne, Siya Bigunasekara, Premachandra. So our party was totally destroyed, and then Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe took over. And then these 30 years we have not been in power. So how do you expect the country to prosper? So you cannot say everybody is the same, you have done this, and we have been very unfortunate for us to do politics under Mr. Wickremesinghe, and we just got 2 years, 1 year, and we were actually we joined someone else and we had a small government. So we were never able to prove ourselves like earlier generation, Mr. Athulat Mudali's, Gamini Disanayake's. We never got opportunity. That's what. So Mr. Wickremesinghe is responsible for everything, for what happened to us. So we have to take Mr. Wickremesinghe out of the equation. From 94, you must take the full cake and then leave it outside with Rajapaksas. So he had been dealing with them, and I have been telling this all the time. And now it's true. He's working very closely with them. And any UMP, I think they're embarrassed, totally embarrassed to even to say that they're UMPs. And definitely we would try to get the UMP also back into our saddle, and one day and take and make this party a strong party. And I'm talking on behalf of actually the team that we have from the SJB. And they would even if I'm not there, they would do a great job. I know that they have the experience and they have the expertise.
Now, there are a group of people, of course, who, or let's say, there are disgruntled people in the country. And then when a country is facing a situation like this, usually the people are most angry against those in power.
Yeah.
So there are those who think that maybe if the opposition got together, maybe the parties in the opposition, not form an alliance per se, but if they were more united, that could have presented a better challenge to the government.
It's very difficult. And when you start it, you will have disagreements from the... When you have a common enemy, you will be together. When the common enemy goes, you start fighting. I've always said this. And it's very difficult. Our ideologies are different. And even you can see Harini. But saying once, so she's from our generation, probably our thinking mentality, and she's having a difficult time with the JVP trying to convince them. So they're trying to bring certain things, they're trying to watch the people and what are they expecting. So they're going to say, we are going to do this, we are going to do this, adjusting themselves to the requirement of the people. So it is not easy. How can we do that? And if we join them, from the first day we'll start disagreeing on a lot of things. So you have to bring the right party and with the right vision, and we can build this country. I have a belief, And if you see our state ministers, the politically young ones, Iran Wickramaratne, Harsha De Silva, myself, Ajit Pereira, Sadit Premadasa, Buddhika Pathirana, Nalin Bandara, lot of these guys. They actually excelled in their little capacity as state ministers or deputy ministers. So we have the talent, we have the vision. It's just a matter of for us getting opportunity, and we will prove ourselves. If you talk about tourism, I will tell our plan. If you talk about fisheries, I will tell my plan. And we have the vision. We have shown it. It's just a matter of time for us to produce the goods. We just want opportunity. After 30 years, we haven't got. So our predecessors have done. They have shown how talented they have been. So we need opportunity. That's all we are telling the people.
Mr. Senasinghe, you said that your former leader, Ranil Wickremesinghe, has been in cahoot with the Rajapaksas for the longest amount of time. This reminds me of a recent clip, I believe. There was a clip circulating of an interview where parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa attended, and he was posed the question, who would you, if not for your party, who else would you prefer to be president of this country? Would it be Andrakumara Dissanayake or Sajith Premadasa? And he said, I think Sajith Premadasa would be better. And then there were those who construed that to say that the SJB2 is part of the problem or part of the same group. How would you respond to that?
Not at all. Did Sajith Premadasa have any dealings with Rajapaksas? Can they say that Sajith Premadasa went and met and proposed something under the curtains, behind the curtains? You cannot. But Andrakumara Dissanayake, he's the one who brought Chandika Kumarthungi into power. So he's responsible for that. And when you had this tsunami funds, that fraud,
helping
Hambantara, when they had it, with all that he helped Rajapaksas to come into power. And before that he has taken 4 ministries. JP took 4 ministries, 4 state ministers and some 30 odd parliament members. And what did they do? They held it for a short time and they couldn't perform and they left it and went. So they could have done it and they could have proven themselves and said, no, like Gamin Sanayaka, Lalitatmale, we did this. 1,000 tanks, where are the 1,000 tanks? Where is even one tank? And they collected money and nothing came out. So how are they going to perform now? So they don't have the capacity, and all the dealings. Andrakumara Dissanayake helped our government to come into power. Andrakumara Dissanayake helped the earlier Fonseca's campaign also. So they also have been part of it and not us. We have always been in one line, and Mr. Premadasa have had no dealings with those people. And actually, Mahinda Rajapaksa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Ranil Wickremesinghe, Andrakumara Dissanayake, all are in one group.
Mr. Senasinghe, we're in the final few minutes of the show. Real quickly, I would like to ask you, local government election, despite the result that comes out, what can Sri Lankans expect next? What next?
Sri Lankans have to be very mindful. It all depends on the choice that they're going to make. If they make the wrong choice, like what they did with Gota, they were expecting a Lee Kuan Yew, Mahathir Mohamad, and so forth, Nelson Mandela, and they brought somebody who never had any experience. They just brought a body and then they kept him there. When questions were asked about the economy, he wanted us to ask the brother, then the brother was asked, then he wanted the other brother to answer, then the son was asked, he wanted Bandulugunwada, and nobody answered.
Right.
So you know the capacity. And the person who cannot answer, you bring Mr. Andrakumara Dissanayake or whoever going to lead their parties and ask them, what is your policy on these areas? They have never given a correct answer. All what they say is, we'll stop the corruption and we'll bring money from people abroad and we'll develop the country. Can you develop a country like that? Just ask yourself a question, are you going to, you brace yourselves. If you make the wrong choice, this country is going to be, I think, going to be bankrupt beyond repair. And it's in your hand. And if you just take it lightly and say, let's try this, it's like a game for everybody. We are going to vote for this person, vote for that person. It's like a ball twisting up and down and just, it's not going to be fun. We have not paid so many people in the government and the salaries are not going to be paid in the future also. So we need the foreign nations to trust us, and we need a person who has principles, who has the capacity to deliver. So that person is Sajith Premadasa. He has always been very straightforward in all what he says. His communication may be a little bit of a problem, and that's why I see him always getting hammered. But he has not killed, he has not robbed, He has not done any wrongdoings.
Right.
So that is the person, and people just take him for granted for that. And they are telling him that he plays cricket and he goes to Yala, and he doesn't go abroad. He doesn't go to Kenya. He doesn't go to Tanzania. Somebody needs. I have my life also. I'm also. I have my fun when my free time is there, but. Just blaming not for his murders, not for his atrocities, just
Mr. Senasinghe, there's much more to discuss, of course. Unfortunately, we're at the end of the Bell to Love for this program. Thank you very much for joining us on our show. And of course, thank you very much to all our viewers for tuning in. Of course, one thing I will have to unconditionally agree with Mr. Senasinghe is the fact that we need to think and we need to vote right for whichever party you're voting, because the future of Sri Lanka depends on it. Take care. God bless.